We are going to be taking a look at the hbclebanon.com website. We're going to walk through how to use this, go through all the basics of how to control the website, and at the end of it, if you have questions, then that's fine, it will happen, and you can always call, text, email us, and we will walk you through whatever new questions, new information you need, and we'll be sure that you can use this website in the best way possible. So you go to hbclebanon.com/wp-admin. When you get there, then you'll have a username and password with which you will log in. And we have this nice large dashboard area here, and this is the majority of the page when you first log in, and it serves absolutely no purpose. So you can ignore that, but over here on the left side, then we have all these navigation elements, and it will help you get to where you need to go to be able to control your site. So we'll go through them one by one. We're going to go into them in enough detail that you should be able to mostly know what you're doing, but you will still have questions at the end in all likelihood, and so then you can contact us and we can walk you through any of those details. Or you can try to work it out on your own, and that's fine too, whatever works best for you all. So we have updates over here on the left side, and this is an area that will show that you have a plugin or a theme that needs to be updated. Now, at least 499 times out of 500, updating these causes absolutely no problem whatsoever. Every once in a while, and it's rare, it's only been a few times over all the time that I've been updating plugins, something will go wrong, and it will make it so that the site will break, that your theme will break, there will be a major conflict with another plugin. It does happen at times, and so we generally go in and do that for you. So every couple of weeks, we will go through and we'll update any plugins or themes that are ready for an update on here. And to update them is not anything terribly complicated unless something goes wrong. So all you do is you check it and you click Update Plugins, and it's updated. So you can do that if you want to, but we'll come through and do it anyway, and it will be in plenty of time to ensure that there are no security risks on your website. Then we get down to Post. So we'll take a look at Post, and underneath this, we have Hello World. And that's not something we need because we don't have a blog enabled here on the website right now. If we want to add a blog on here at some point, then we can do that, and you will be using Post for that purpose. We're going to be looking at Pages here in a few moments, and once we get to Pages, then almost everything that you learn from Pages will be applicable to Post as well. So if you ever get to the point that you're going to be using Post, you'll already know if you know how to use Pages. Now we'll take a look at Events. And Events, as the name implies, is for events, and that's for the calendar on your website. Now, we have this plugin right now, and it works fine, and it works well, but we have a new one we're going to be switching over to for all of our websites here very soon, and it functions almost identically, but it is a lot nicer looking, and it should run a lot smoother, and it should have more frequent updates than the plugin that we're using right now. So it's actually even developed based on the exact same little snippet of software, just been forked off of that, and so once we switch over to that, you will see a little bit of a change, and if there's anything that is different in what you need to be doing, then we will explain that to you at that time. But right now, we'll go with this version, and it will only get easier and more effective once we get to the new one. So if you can learn this, then the next one will be even easier. But we have several events that are on here right now, and we will just go ahead and add a new one. And this should allow you to be able to know the basics of how to operate any of these events then. So we have a new event. We give it the title. That's what's going to show up everywhere. You can make it so that it's an all-day event, or you can make it so that it is at specific times. These start dates and end dates are done in the way that the rest of the world does them, which is by putting the day, and then the month, and then the year, which is not an order that makes sense to us as Americans, but it makes sense to other people. So we have it as 13, there's no 13th month, so it's a good clue that this is not in order of month, day, year. But if you click on this little calendar here, then you can know exactly where you're at. And so if you ever get confused, that's an easy way to be able to resolve that confusion. You can choose whatever time you want here, or you can type it in as well. And then you have an end time here. And we say that it's going to be for several days that we're having this event happen. You can make it so these events repeat. We have the time zone preset to Chicago. You can choose any time zone on Earth. Click repeat here. Excuse me. And then you can go in here and we can make it so that it repeats every week on a certain day, every month on a certain day, or every year on a certain day. Any of those are just fine. And then you click apply, and then it will always be on there forever and ever, unless you set some end time. we have the event location details, and you have to enter this in every single time. That's one of the things that's a disadvantage about this current events plugin that will be fixed with a new plugin that we'll be adding in here very soon. And so what you would do here, though, is you would say Heritage Baptist Church, and you'd put your address in here, which I can't remember right off, so I'll just type in my own instead. Don't come stalk me. You can click Show Map so that it will show up on that event page. Then we have the event cost. We're going to say it's a free event, but you could also make it so that you have to pay a certain amount. And that's something else that will be improved on the new plugin, because then you can put in a custom amount without having to associate it with one of these other add-ons. Organizer contact info, you put in the name and number and the email address. And you can put in a website address if there is a place they need to go to get more specific information, like a page with more information on this website or an outside website, either one. Any information about the event you can type in down here that's more extensive than these basics up here. So if you want to have some more fluffy words to describe what's happening, you do it here. You control these things in the same way that you will control everything on a page or a post, which we'll go over in more detail in a moment. But it functions just like any other word processing type program. So you can make it whatever color, whatever style you want it to be. And you can add in images within here. Whatever you want to do, you can put into this section here and make it look as you want it to look. You set a featured image so that it can show up when you hover over the little event on the calendar page, or also then on the page itself. It will load up with that featured image as well. So we can have it be that we have good old John Ashcroft here. And that's from a while ago. He's not as young looking as that anymore. That's from back in his days as Attorney General. And nothing down here is really of concern for you. You can make it so that it's a featured event. And if you make it a featured event, what that means is that on the home page, it's not this one. It's not that. That's controlled separately. But it means that it's going to show up as a part of these list of things. If it's coming up soon, it will show up right there. And so right now we have all these set as featured events. Every event we have on the website is set as a featured event. But it might be that if you have more events going on, it might not make sense at some point. And so you want to say, well, everybody knows our church service times because we have them up here very noticeably, and then we have them again down here. Well, let's not have those as featured anymore. Let's just have the other ones on there. That would probably make sense to do at some point. And so we say, but this is John Ashcroft, so that's clearly a featured event. You click Publish. We'll go ahead and do this. It's 12:16 a.m., so we'll just go ahead and make that a featured one. And now, then we have a new event here, and then there's good old John. And you click on here, and then we got our information here. And you can add a comment to it if you want to. But we don't really want that there long term, right? So we're going to move it to the trash. And when you move it to the trash, then it stays in the trash over here. And that's the way it is on most things on this website. If you move them to the trash, then they're not deleted permanently. You have to go over and hover over them and click Delete Permanently. And now it has been deleted forever. If you have similar events, you can clone them. You just hover over them and click Clone. And then you can edit the details of the new one to say in what way it is that it's different than the original. If you need to add a new one, of course, you click Add New, and it functions like what we've already done. Our Organize here, this is just setting up a featured category. That's really all that would come through that part right there. Import feeds, add-ons, those don't matter. Calendar themes, if you want to change the colors on the calendar page, the style, I guess it is, on the calendar page, you do it here. But if you want to change the colors, then you do it under Theme Options. And you can change these out to something else if you want to, although most of the time that's not going to be necessary. If you want to change out what it is by default when you load the calendar page, so right now, when you go to the calendar page, let's see. Thought we had calendar up here somewhere. Wouldn't be a bad thing to have there. Let's go to it this way. View calendar. So when we go into the calendar here, this is how it looks right now, and it's got the month. You can make it so that instead of being the month, you could change the default to what's happening today, and then it could be a long list of events that are coming up, or it could be the things coming up this week. Any of those are fine. You can change it to be separate on mobile then as well. So there's one thing on a desktop version, one thing on a mobile version. A few other settings you could change. You can look through those and see if there's something you want to adjust. For the most part, they should be fine. And widget creator isn't something you need to worry about, and ticketing is not either, and reorder is not something we're going to be using with this. So that should be most everything for events. They should show up in all these different places automatically. You don't need to go through and add them individually. If you add it once, it shows up everywhere on the site for events, with the exception of that featured function that makes it so that it does show up on the home page. If you don't click that, it won't show up on the home page. And we need to fix something on that page there that I just realized. So we will fix that here very soon, but not right now. Right now we can take a look at media. Not really anything you need to do in media. You can add photos, videos, documents here directly. That's not how you would normally do it though. Normally it would be done within some other function. So within pages, within plugins, within or widgets, posts, something else like that is where you'd be adding the images, not directly through here. Let's take a look at forms. So forms include, as the name implies, forms. And right now we have two forms on the website. We have the contact form and the testimonials form. And sorry, testimonies. We're not in a business here. This is a church. Let's get the right nomenclature going on. So we have name, email, phone. How can we help? And with each one of these, you can click on them, and then there's more information on there. If you want to make it so there's a middle name, you click it or unclick it. Right now it's required. You don't have to make it required. A little bit of an appearance thing you could change, but you don't really need to worry about those too much. If you want to add new options onto here, so right now these are all very simple things we have on there, correct? So then if we want to say, we want to have a drop-down option, and we want to say, who's your favorite basketball team? And you can say the Oakland Raiders, or the New York Giants, or the third choice, those aren't basketball teams. And then you can see who really knows their basketball teams. And you can make it required, make it so that they can't be duplicates, so only one person could ever answer any one of these things. And a few other options that probably aren't too necessary for you to deal with right now. Most of these things are pretty self-explanatory what they do. So you have checkboxes, same concept. You just fill in what it is that you want the options to be. The advanced fields are not advanced for you. That means they're not complicated for you. They are advanced because Google or Gravity Forms is doing good things for you that are advanced functionality on their end. So they're still very simple to use. We're talking about very basic things like names, so don't get scared of clicking advanced fields. All these things work very easily. It's not complicated. A lot of times you are going to want to change these over to a large field to make it look nicer. Post fields are not something you will be dealing with, I don't think. It gets more complicated. Pricing fields, though. At some point, if you want it to be that people have to buy their tickets online to go to an event that you have, or you want them to be donating money in some way, then you could use this. It's a little bit more complicated. It's very learnable. Anybody there on staff should be able to learn to do this, but I'll walk you through that separately if you get to that point. And so if you ever have a time when you're wanting to include some sort of payment functionality, let us know. We'll walk you through it. No extra charge or anything. We'll just walk you through it at that time. Right now, that's not something you need to be dealing with. One thing to keep in mind on this, so you click preview, and what would you expect? Of course, you think this is going to be a preview. But we made all those changes right then, and it didn't preview any of the changes we made. So the only way to be able to actually see a preview, I'm doing little air quotes right now, but you can't see them because it's a video of my screen. If you want to do a preview, then you have to update the form, which means it goes live on the website in the way that you've changed it, and then you can click preview. So it's no preview at all, and that's a downside to this plugin, but this plugin is by far the best for making forms, and so it's still worth it, but that is one downside. If we go into form settings, we're going to leave this here. We don't need to keep any of these changes. If you go into form settings, then you can change the name. You can add a description to it. You can make it so that it says something other than send it, like it does right now. And so you could say submit, or you could say let's go, whatever you want it to say. You always want to enable anti-spam honeypot. It makes it so you won't get so much spam. And so it tricks these little spam bots from being able to submit anything, because then they think that there is another little checkbox that they need to check, but actually it is a little scam on them instead. And so then we trap them, and then they are forever forbidden from entering anything into our website. Then we go to confirmations. This is what shows up right after you've submitted the form. Right now it says, "Thanks for contacting us. We will get in touch with you shortly." If you want to change this, you hover over and you click Edit. You can make that text different. This shows up directly on that page where they submitted it. You can make it go to a different page, redirect to something else, or you could redirect them to an outside website, and that could be like google.com or whatever you want. You click Save Confirmation, whatever you want it to be, and that becomes the new way that it is confirmed that they have submitted it. The notifications, on the other hand, go to you or whoever you have set up for the emails to be going to. Right now it's set up to go to me, which is not what you want long term. I will not be a good administrator for your church, so I need to make sure that we get this changed over to the right email address, whoever it is that you want to be the first point of contact for any form that you have on here. And right now, if anything comes my way, of course, I'll just forward it on to you. And the good thing is that all of these things that come in are stored over here under entries. So right now, on the contact form, on contact, that's where we're at right now. There have not been any entries. You look at testimonies, and again, no entries yet. So we're good to go so far. But if they ever do come in, they will be stored here until you decide to delete them. And that means you can keep everything that's ever come through the site, and that could be a good idea probably, that we have a backup of all these communications. Settings are not anything that you need to worry about. Import-export, you don't need to worry about. Updates, add-ons, help, probably not anything you ever need to worry about. Now, there is the matter of implementing these forms. There are two different places you do it, and we will cover those here very soon. So the main places would be within a page or within a widget. So we will be covering those, also within Post, although we won't be looking any more at that at this time. Let's take a look at pages. Pages are the pages of the website, and so they will be all the pages that appear on the website except for the home page. And even though calendar is here, then it's not really controlled very directly through here, so you wouldn't really edit anything on the calendar itself by going right there. So the home page and calendar are not really edited through here, but everything else is. So let's take, for example, our Unshakable Truth page. We click Edit, we go in here, we see that it's loaded up with text and images already. We've got these fine gentlemen who are going to be presenting at this Worldview conference, and we can change out any text that we want on here. And so we can say, we're switching this to November. Don't worry, none of this is live. You can click Preview and see it at any time, but the actual site itself is not changing. This is only a preview, so it will not change for anybody else except for you in this moment. Now if you click Update, then it becomes live, and then everyone can see it. Go down through here though, you can see it's easy enough to make changes. You can make any changes to the formatting, just like you would in a word processing type environment. We can make this be funky colors. We can link it to whatever site we want. And we can make it so these pictures are different sizes by clicking Edit. We can make them be huge. It's very simple to go through here and make most of these changes. You can add in a new paragraph. Very, very easy to do all those things. That's what you're going to be doing most of the time. But let's say we want to have a quick little form in here that lets people sign up for this event. We just insert that little form right there. Now we got rid of the form title and the form description, and we got the Ajax loaded. You don't really need to do Ajax, but it's a good habit to be in just in case. And then we don't want the form or the description on there right now. So we have that in there. It just inserts this little thing called a short code, and it means that you take a code, and then it will make something much bigger out of a short code. So that will show up on the page now. We can click Preview and see. Ah, yes, there we go. And it is on there in a little bit of a funny way actually right now, which is interesting. That wouldn't ordinarily happen. And I think I know why. If you run into any problem like that ever, let us know, and we will fix it up for you. We want everything to be perfect. So don't ever look at something and think this is ugly and it's some website error, and then think that's just life. We will fix whatever problem it is. Now, it might be your user error, and then we will still walk you through how to fix it, but it might fall on you. But if there's ever a problem like this is clearly our fault, right? Where this is overlapping and it shouldn't be, then make sure you let us know. We want to help. We hate the idea of anything being left broken or functioning less than perfectly, okay? Now, we want to add anything else in here. Let's see. We might want to add in a slider sometime. We haven't looked at how to make the sliders yet, but if you want to make a slider, you click that little revolution button right there, and you can click Add Selected Slider, another shortcode situation here, right? And it will show up on the page. You might also want to add in a gallery. Again, you click Add Foo Gallery, and we can get this little gallery added onto the page as well. Set a featured image for a page doesn't really make much of a difference for what you're doing. Got a few other settings down here. None of them are terribly important. Let's click Preview again. Make sure that those other things we did showed up on the page as they should have. There we go. There's our slideshow there right in the middle of the page. There's our Foo Gallery. It's not a very good looking page now that we've done all these things to it, but it is a page nonetheless. So, if you ever want to make this live, we click Update. If we ever update it and it's not how we want it to be, we can always go back here. We're going to leave this because we don't need to save any of this, and you can browse your revisions. You can see what's happened in the past, and then you can restore some past version of this page, and it gives you a little bit of an idea of what changes these different times. You click Restore Version, and then it becomes live, and everything is wonderful, hunky-dory at that time. If you want to add a new page, you click Add New. Do all the other things we already discussed before about adding content. If you want to add a photo, you click Add Media. And you have all these photos that already exist, but if you want to add a new photo, you upload the file here. Some of you guys, I think, are using Mac. Some of you are not. Either way is okay. We'll add a picture of Jim Wells here. Look at that. There we go. He doesn't really need to be on the site, though, so we'll delete him for now. He probably doesn't have all that much to do with the ministry that you do. So, you get all those things on there, and you can click Publish, and it will become live on the website. We're going to move this to the trash, though. Remember, when we move something to the trash, it still is available to restore until we click Delete Permanently. But we don't need this ever, so we're going to click Delete Permanently, and it will be gone forever. We have comments over here. We even have a little comment that's been left, and it's spam, so we'll mark it as spam. I don't even think it's actually showing up on the website right now. Some of these comments slip through and they don't even show up on the site. It's just on the back end that you end up seeing them. Now let's take a look at Foo Gallery. Let's see what galleries we already have on this website. That's not one that we're using, I know, so I will delete that. I do believe that we are using that children one, actually, I think. Now remember, this page is not live. If we go to this actual page, it will not be there. Let's see if we're using this kids one or not. I think we are. Yeah, there it is. Okay, we actually are. Good. Alright, so we click Edit there on the children. And we have all these settings within there. And you can mess with any of these settings as much as you want and see what happens. That's the best way on something like this. You can change it out to different general style of gallery, or you can change it out to different sizes, and if it looks good, go for it. If it doesn't look good, don't go for it. Now we can click Add Media here, and we can add as many other photos as we want to, and they will just be incorporated into that automatically. So you click Add Media. Now I've got this new image there, and we'll just go ahead and do this real quick. Now we've added that on, and it will be added in on the end. And now it's adjusted the size of these to make them work even better. You can take that back off now. We click Update, and it goes back to the way that it was. Remember, if you want to insert these, then you can do it by clicking that button at the top of a page or at the top of a post. You can also copy that, and just by clicking on it, it copies it automatically. And then you can paste that into any post or any page and into the text widget that we'll look at here in a moment, and any of those, then it would make it show up as well. If you want to add a new gallery, you click Add New Gallery, and you can copy the settings I already have on that other one if you want to make it look exactly the same. If you want to choose your own, that's perfectly fine too, and you can insert them anywhere you want. We're going to move it to the trash. Let's see if this keeps them around. Yes, it does. This one also keeps them around. We don't really want to keep any of those. We can click this little button at the top and we'll make them all be selected. And now we're going to delete all of them. We have some settings down here. Not terribly important, I don't think. No, nothing down here. None of these other things should matter too much for Foo Gallery. And reorder, again, doesn't matter for them either. So you should be okay on that part. Foo Gallery should be good. You should be able to use that basically well. It's fairly intuitive. Now we're going to take a look at sermons. Now under sermons here, we have all of our sermons that have already been created. And so they have been arranged in the right order on the basis of having to use reorder down here. And that's because of some issues with the timing of having uploaded them for the very first time. It's not something that you should ever have to deal with again. So actually, that shouldn't matter for you. We needed to get them in these initial ones in the right order. Any new ones that you add will be in the right order without having to take any additional steps. So let's just click Add New. And this can be our newest sermon. We choose a date down here for when this happened. And so it happened on the 12th of June, we'll say. We don't have any service type set up right now, but we can set that up later if you would like to. So for a contemporary or traditional or the time or whatever else you want to be changing within it. You say that your main passage is John 3:18, just for fun. So it's not 3:16. And then the description, a good sermon about good things. You can have your MP3 uploaded here. And so you click Upload File, and then you select whatever file it is that you're needing to upload for this new sermon. And let's see if we got something here. None of those are real ones. There we go. Oh, it's going to be a really slow one. We don't want to do that. Okay, pretend that we uploaded that all the way. And then we can just pretend that there's a sermon in. Once you do it, it will make it so that it goes into that spot right there. You can insert the duration, but it'll figure out fine on its own, so you don't need to worry about it. If you want to have a video of this on there, then you just insert the embed code that comes from YouTube or Vimeo. You just right-click on those. I think that's the same on Vimeo. Either way, you get an embed code from either one of those, and then you can copy it, paste it in here, and then it will make it so that it shows up on that page. You can also upload a file of sermon notes and make it so that then you get to have some sort of document to go alongside them. You can choose from the preachers that have already been chosen before, like Pastor Kevin Smith, for instance, but you could also add in a new one right here. Sermon series, same thing. None of them have been on there yet, but you can add your own new sermon series or a topic for your sermons as well. So a sermon series would be a series, so like we spent 6 weeks on this exact thing, and then a topic would be love or hope or grace or sin, something broader like that that could be covered again and again and again. You add in a book of the Bible. This is not the exact verse, just the book of the Bible. And that way you can make people be able to see everything you've ever preached on Genesis or everything on Romans or whatever it might be. You set a featured image down here. And you make it be that our friend John is once again our featured image. Once we get all those things set up, then you click Publish, and it becomes live. And when you publish this, then it goes in more than one place on the website. So it will automatically go here on the home page, and it will come into this spot right here, and whatever that featured image was will be the background. The name of it will be right here, so you probably don't want to pick a crazy long name. It doesn't have to just be like 3 words like these, but it shouldn't be 27 words long or anything like that, or it will start to look weird on here. It won't work right. And it will load up on here, and it'll rotate through the most recent sermons. Sometimes the pictures will work perfectly, sometimes they'll be a little harder to see like that, but that's okay. It will draw people in. So once you click on this, then you're on this page. You can listen to the sermon. It's not playing on the recording that we're doing here right now, but that's okay. It will typically. So it goes there. It also goes under sermons. And so we get to have this nice list of them here. And you can go in any of these at any time. And you can go in and listen to the sermon. And like I said, it's not playing on here right now for us because of having the recording going at the same time. But ordinarily it would play just fine right there. And that should be everything with that part of sermons. If you need to go in and add things, you can in a more from this side as well. Rather than adding them directly through here, then you can add them in this spot. You can add an image to go along with Pastor Kevin. In fact, let's just do that right now. Because we know Kevin. And he's not John. Let's see. Oh, come on. We gotta have a picture of him here. Well, we don't have a close-up of him right there. I guess we never did get those close-up images that were higher resolution, huh? So, some other time. We'll get them on there another time. You can look through all these different things. Look at all the times that a certain book of the Bible was used. For service type, you can add new ones there for morning, evening, whatever you want it to be. And there'll be available options within there as well. Settings, I don't think there's much of anything that needs to be changed within this. No, that should all be good. If you ever want it to be that for some reason your sermons are in a different order, you can click and drag them up and down to make them whatever order you want them to be. So we have the newest one at the top. And it should all be good. That should be everything on sermons. There we go. Now we get rid of that draft because we don't need it. And once again, it's over here, and we will delete it permanently because that is not something that we need. Should be everything for sermons. If you have questions about that, let us know. We can help you get set up with the right way to do that. Now we have staff members here. And I believe that we did not split them up on this site actually between staff and support staff. No, you guys put them all together. So we'll get rid of that other one that has a support staff section. But we have all the current staff in here. If you want to edit somebody, go in, you can change their name, their position title, the content here within that for their biography, add in a different email address if you think that's not really the ideal one. You can put in a phone number if you want a specific phone number for them. We have the staff photo. You just have one photo in that section there. And so that's what we have right now, but we could pick out a different one. If we want it to be something else, you just go in here and then add that file. If you want to have other images underneath these, then you can do that as well. And so you have like your main picture that's the close-up of them, but you could also add several other that are, picture with them with their family, of them throwing a frisbee to their dog, eating their favorite lo mein dish, whatever it is that you think is good. Then you can put them in there, and you can pick out, we might have a limit still on the other images, I don't remember. If there's a limit, it's a high limit. It might be like 12 or something like that, but you can add in a bunch of images underneath there as well. And then once you do all those things, you click update, it becomes live on the website. If you want to add a new person, then it's the same thing as this right there, just enter them in. You want to put the name up here though, and down here. We're always going to have the name and the position required, and the email and a photo of some kind required. The other parts are optional, but we want those parts to be in there no matter what. We don't actually want to use this though, so we're going to move it to the trash like we've been doing with a lot of other things. And then we'll see that we have a trash section here. If you want to delete it very permanently, then you click delete permanently, and now it's gone forever. We're not using any support staff, but it's not a function that we're using as a part of this. We'll get rid of that so you don't have to ever look at it or think about it again. That is everything for staff members. Let's take a look at testimonies. We have all testimonies here. This is something that was already set up on the old website as well. I believe we have it a little different now though, as far as how you actually get them on there. So we have them listed here in order. Sorry, in no particular order, I should say. Maybe they're in alphabetical order. Yeah, I guess they're in alphabetical order, but I think that's the way they already were, I think. We'll see. I don't know. If somebody else wants to add their own testimony, they just put in their name, their testimony. Do they have permission to put it on the website? You click submit, and then if they have permission, then it will go as a draft, and you will get a notification. And that draft will be in here. It won't be live, but all you'll have to do then is go in and change it from being live to being a draft. on anything like that, all you do here is, come up here to status, and you can change it from published to pending review to draft, whichever one you want it to be, and then you click update and it becomes that. And so if it's as a draft, it won't show up. If it's published, it is published and will show up. So we have these ones already on here right now. If you want to add a new one, you click add new, and you put in a title for it, a testimony, and you put the person's name down here, and the content. And you add all those things in there. You can add images just like always if you want to. And then you click publish and it becomes live. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to move it to the trash. And once it's to the trash, then we're going to go over to it and we're going to hover over and click delete permanently because we don't need a testimony. That's not even a thing. Come down to Genesis. We don't need to worry about Genesis, not a concern of ours. For right now, it is for us actually, but not for you all. So you don't need to worry about anything in there. You can explore it if you want to. Anything ever goes wrong, we'll be backing up your site, so it will all be okay anyway. We have appearance. And under appearance, then we have a couple of things we need to take a look at. Most of it's not going to be terribly important, but we do need to worry about widgets and menus. Let's take a look at widgets first. So we'll take a look at widgets, and this is going to be controlling the home page, and it's going to be controlling the header and the footer. The header, where it says header right here, well, I got the name wrong really. It's not header right, it's everything. So the entire header. So we have an image, that's the logo. We have the worship part right here. It says worship 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And so we have this set up into two columns here. You're not really ever going to need to be changing the basic content of this section here, but you might be changing the exact times at some point. I mean, if you need to, that's fine. Type in 9:30, change it to whatever you need to. But for the most part, you should be leaving this header section the same. It won't be changing so much. You'll notice that we also have this part up above there, and that's from a little bit different section right here called Before Header. And so it is Unshakable Truth Worldview Conference, and we have this link here. And you could change out the link to something else. You could change out the text to something else. Any text that you put in there will show up like that. We use this thing called Visual Editor. It's from down here. You can always just click it and drag it into there to add another one. Although I don't think we really have it built in to handle that exact thing right at this moment necessarily in that spot. But you can click it and drag it up there, and then you can add in your own things. Different title, different link, different information, whatever you want it to be. For our primary sidebar, that's what we have showing up in a place like this, except for the primary one. What we're having show up in most places is Let's Talk and Recent Sermons. So you have Let's Talk and Recent Sermons, and you'll notice that those are there, and this is here. So you have something different on that part. So for the My Testimony, then it's only showing up on /testimonies. And then what do we have here? /testimonies. Alright, so that's how you make it show up there. You click Show Widget on Selected, put the end address on there, only the end part, not the whole thing, just the end. Click Save, it becomes live. And then over here, we have Hide on Selected. The only page we don't want this to show up on is on the Testimonies page, and so it's hidden there. You could also make it so it only shows up on certain kinds of pages, and that would be fine too. Click Save. But we have down here on Recent Sermons that it shows up everywhere. And so that's why it's on every one of those. We don't have a secondary sidebar being used. We already talked about before header. Home-top is the first section of the home page where we have this slider going on here. And you don't control it directly through here really. You just choose which slider is going to show up there. And we have the home slider showing up on the home page. And so everything is good there. Home-bottom, we've got Visit Us and Service Times. That's what comes next on this page here. If you want to change out some part of this, you can. This is pretty much set up. If you ever get into this place where things look kind of funky like that with some code type stuff, that means you're probably on the text version. You just click Visual and you can see the way it looks there. All we've got is a short code, and we've got a link that will take you to Google. And then you can get directions to that exact place. Because they're going to get better directions than what you would anyway. Probably. Hopefully. You can make a little bit of a change there. Service times, you can make change here, certainly, no big deal. There's nothing about this that would be a problem with the length, and so then if you have to add more things in here that you think really need to be on this section, like right now they're about the same height, so that's great. But if you ever need to be in a place where you need to add more, it's not going to ruin the page to add something more in there either. After home-bottom, we have home-bottom 2, and that's where we have the sermon slider. That's this right here. Again, you don't really control it directly. You just say, I want the sermon slider there. So you don't have to change anything about the slider directly through this widget section. Subfooter left. We got another misnomer there. Need to fix this misnomer part of my life, huh? It's this entire section right down here. And so we have the featured type event over here, the main one that's you're wanting to emphasize, and then we have the upcoming events over here that's the list. For the image, all you got to do is click choose an image, and then you choose whatever you want your featured image to be on that spot right there. And then you can just leave it full size. Try not to have crazy big images or it'll slow down the loading of your site, but you want it to be big enough, so that means at least, for something like this, 500 pixels wide, I guess. It needs to be 500 pixels wide, probably. And choose the link here. You can just type it in, or you can click this little search thing, and you can search for it amongst these. And so we want it to be unshakable. And we got all these different other unshakable things. You can link it to the image itself, or to an MP3 that's called unshakable, but we want the page, and that's what we have it linked to already right now. You can have the text down here to describe it. You are welcome to make it longer or shorter. Again, we don't really have anything that's going to ruin this if it's way longer, way shorter, but I'd say that's about as long as what you want, what I have on there right now. If you get it much longer, then it starts to be more text than what is useful, and it's going to make these a little bit more off balance. For upcoming events, then all you got to do is say, our number of events to show, 6. And we want it to be that they are events with these categories, and so we have featured, view calendar button. You can adjust these things if you want, but for the most part it should be set up as you want it to be already. Don't have subfooter right. Footer 1, this is our social menu, and so you might not think of it as a menu, or maybe you do, but that is just this little section down here. And again, you're not really controlling it directly through here, you're just saying this is the menu I want in that spot. And then in footer 2, we have another menu, and it's the footer menu. And we're talking about just this home, about us, sermons, contact. So up here, then we've got the sub-menu stuff going on, but down at the bottom, we're just having the main categories because we don't need to have all that detail in that spot. Then, footer 3, nothing. Footer 4, nothing. After entry, nothing. And these are things we didn't use down there, so you can ignore them as well. That's how we use the widgets section. It controls the home page, the header, and the footer, and the sidebar, the primary sidebar. So those are the areas you can control through here. Widgets are very important. If you have questions, let us know. You can try out any of these other things over here and see if they work well. Some of them will, some of them won't. Experimentation is a wonderful thing to go about. It's a wonderful thing to have in your life. It will lead to good things. Sometimes it will lead to bad things, but it's worth the experience. So give it a try if you want to. If it doesn't turn out well, you can always delete it very easily. And so you just hover over, click delete, and it's gone. And if you ever run into trouble where you can't get things back to the way you want them to be, let us know. We'll help you out. Now we'll take a look at menus. Now there are some more advanced settings in this, and we haven't actually taken advantage of most of them on this site. We have Uber Menu installed, which is a wonderful menu plugin, and it can do much better things than just showing some menu items across the bottom like that. But it also will take some additional work and some additional thinking about how you want to take advantage of those, and you're welcome to explore that as much as you would like to do. And so you have the capability there. If you want to take the time, you can learn more about it. Right now we'll just cover the basics of how to make this work. And all that is going to mean for us is that we can add pages into here, into these sub-menu areas. And to do that, all you have to do is search for it. So let's say we want Unshakable Truth to be added in there. And we say we want this to be underneath one of these. So we want that to be a ministry that we have going on. It's there. But it's not live on the website until you click Save Menu. Now, if you want it to be that this is a sub-menu, you can put it there. But we don't really have that set up here to function correctly. And so I don't think it would be a wise thing for you to be doing. If you want to get rid of any of these menu items, you simply click Remove. You don't drag them, you just actually click Remove. But I realize I should also show you that we can change the navigation label. And so even though it's going to the Unshakable page, we might want to call it Popcorn City. And then it will change to that title instead, and it will still link to that same page though. But we don't want to go to Popcorn City. Maybe we do, who knows. It's not an available option to us right now regardless. And so you can add any of these things over here though, not just pages. It can be posts, events, staff members, custom links where you add in a specific link to an outside website. You click Add to Menu, and then it will be here. Any of these other things you can put in there, and you can drag them to where you want them to be. And once you want it to be live, you click Save Menu. We also have these other menus, right? The footer function is just the same as this one, so there's really no need to look at it. The social menu is different. So we have this little code in here. Okay, so this is just an address to your Facebook group, which ideally at some point your church would switch over to having a page. It really is going to be a lot more effective for reaching a broader audience than what a group will be. There are advantages to groups as well, and so you might want to maintain both, but you should have some sort of page out there, but that's of course your choice, and that's fine if you don't ever get around to doing that. But we have the Font Awesome thing going on here, where we make it so that we have a little image show up for each one of these, a little icon for them, right? And that comes about by having the FA-Facebook within there, and then we still have the word Facebook over there too, just in case. But if you ever need to add something else, and so then right now you have Facebook and Twitter, and you have an contact option, but if you ever go beyond that, and you have a YouTube channel, or you have a Tumblr page, or Pinterest, Instagram, whatever it might be, then you can easily add them. And I won't show you exactly how right now. If you search for it, you can find it yourself. But otherwise, you can just ask us, and we'll be happy to do it for you. And it won't be a big deal. And we'll make sure we get it set up correctly. You want to make it live, you click Save, and then everything is good with menus. That covers the basics of them. If you ever have more questions, you can ask us. With the things you do with Uber menu, then it can get uber complicated. And so we won't go through all of those things right now. It would take far, far too long. So we're not even going to attempt to get there. But if you ever want to start adding in more things like some images into your menus, directly into the menus, if you ever want to be having it so that then there is additional text beyond the menu items themselves, then Uber can do a great job of that for you. Nothing else within this appearance section is something we're going to explore right now. You can take a look at plugins. Plugins are all the little pieces of software that are installed on this website. And we don't want to delete anything or deactivate anything from here because it's all being used for something. But if you ever get to a point where you need additional functionality, you can go and add new plugins. And you just go up here and you click Add New, and then you can search for whatever it is that you want to be having on the website. And so you can see if there are any popcorn widgets out there. And there are not very many, surprisingly. And that's because it's not really a relevant word for WordPress. But let's say you wanted to have forms. You don't like the Forms plugin, even though it's wonderful. Then you get all these options here, and you can see that there are a lot. How do you choose among these? Well, you can go by the stars, that's helpful, but one of the best ways is going to be to check with us. And so we'd love to help you out in that way. If you ever need additional functionality, let us know, and we'll probably have a quick and good solution for how to come about with that, how to come about having that technology, that functionality. Now we'll take a look at users. On your site, then users are going to be those people who are, let me get rid of this user real quick. Going to be the people who are going to be administrators for your website. You could have something else on here besides that, but that's not really something that's probably going to be relevant for you too often. So we'll just show that part here real quick. And so you click Add New, you have a new username. So we have new user and new user at gmail.com, and you can have the name if you want to, but you don't have to. And you can put in a website if you want to, but you don't have to. You can click Show Password here, then it will reveal what the password is, and then you can copy that, and that's wonderful. You notice it's a very complicated password, and that's a good thing. That means that it will secure your website. You can make it into anything else you want here, like say you want to make it a simple password. But we don't want to do that because it's very weak. And in fact, you have to check this box down here to use it because WordPress is trying to warn you this is a bad idea, and they are right. So don't use a simple password. You can make up one of your own, and that's fine, but we need to make it so that it is something that will say strong, and that way we know we are securing the website properly. The role by default is subscriber. That's not something you're going to need very often. You really are normally going to be wanting to do administrator. You have different levels of power over the website on these different things. Most of the time you're just going to be wanting to give someone full power over the website. That's going to be the easiest option most of the time. If you ever want to delete someone, then we already saw that a moment ago, right? You just hover over them and click delete, except for I can't delete myself right now because I'm logged in, and also I'm the only user, and there would be no way to get into the website in the future. So we don't want to do that. The tools are not necessary for you to know anything about. Nothing in there is very important. Under settings, we have a few options that you might want to change. We don't want that to say just another website. We're going to say Lebanon, Missouri. Where this shows up is up here, so Heritage Baptist Church. Then you keep hovering, and then it will say just another website, but then we refresh, and now we've changed it, and it will say Lebanon, Missouri. But it also shows up on Google when you search, then that is something that will show up there at the top. We have the email address for admin purposes set up for mine right now. We can change that out to you, to whatever email address you all would like for it to be. Hey, let's change this over to administrator since I've already said that's how we want it to be normally. Click save, and that becomes live. Writing, reading, discussion. Discussion might be if you're going to use comments on this website, then you can change the way that you moderate them and how many are kept and so forth. Permalinks, nothing. Easy columns, Foobox free, manual image crop. No, none of these other things matter here. You should be okay on those. We're not using Soliloquy. It just hasn't gotten deleted, so we'll make sure we get that deleted here real soon. Slider revolution is what controls the slideshow on the home page, and also the sermon slideshow right here. So let's look at the home one first. Now, slider revolution can do anything that you can imagine, at least as far as websites go. So maybe not things outside of websites, but everything to do with websites it can do. That means that it would take a long time to explain all the details of how to do everything on here. But we want to show you how to use the slides you already have on here right now. Now you can make it as simple as we're just going to put a graphic on there. And that might work, but it likely won't. You see, the reason why is because this is a responsive slideshow. Let me show you how that works on here as opposed to something else. So if we have an image down here, it changes as we go along, right? But the entire image still shows up in the exact same dimensions all the way through. But if you look up here, that won't work because we have this little text down here, and if that little text is a part of an image that gets smaller and smaller and stays the same dimensions and all, then you won't be able to read it at all. And that's not a good thing. That means that you won't be having a useful slideshow. So when we're going through here, then see how these things, they change a little bit like that right now. But then you get to a point and they start to shift in more dramatic ways. And all the text continues to be legible at whatever size we go to. You see how that's happening there? So if you just had a background image, then that can't happen, right? Because now this is a vertical slide. Here it is a very horizontal slide, right? Landscape versus portrait. So we need to have a more complicated way of being able to edit these things than just having a background image in there. And so that's why it's important to be able to arrange these things in the right way. Let's open this up all the way so you can see everything that's on here. So we have all these things on here right now already. This is a graphic right here. This is a little object that comes about from up here, and we have a text button right here. But let's take a look at one of these. They're really going to be a little bit easier for explaining this, I think. So we have these words here. They come about by hovering over Add Layer, and then you click text/HTML, and then you can type in whatever text you want. Right? Right now, it's just plain text, and it's tiny, and it's not really what you're wanting. So you make it into whatever font you want. We've been using Lato. Maybe it said Lato. Who knows? And then we have it much larger than that. I don't know quite what size. We'll say 100. And you want to make the line height to match or it won't work right. And whatever text you want, then we got it right over here. Okay? And we've been making these other ones bold. Super bold. Now see it's starting to look more like it. And everything is good with it there. If we click up here though, then you can see right now we've got it the way that it will be looking on a desktop monitor. If you click here, that's a laptop. And see that cuts off that text. And so we say, okay, we want to make a change to it at this point. Whatever change we make now won't impact that bigger size. It's only going to change the smaller size here. So we say that can't fit. So we have several options. We can make it so that they are wrapping. And so you got this little thing here. And you can then drag this. Let's get that back there. There we go. So now you can make this so that it is dragged over here. And now we can fit it in there like that maybe, right? It doesn't really even quite fit there. So we say like, oh, let's make it a little bit smaller yet. We'll make it 80 and 80. And then we'll drag it in a little bit more. And now we've got it all to fit in there just like we want. Now you go on to the next one and you say, okay, it's not fitting there again. So we adjust it again. But these ones stay where they are no matter what you do down here. Does that make sense? You can't respond right now because this is a recorded video, but it probably does. And so you can make whatever changes you need to here with it. You can make it so that it's underlined, so that it's uppercase, make it italic. You can give it a background of some other color. You can go through all these things and you can figure out how to be able to make this look as pretty as possible. And I'd say it's looking pretty pretty. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Whatever you want, we'll just cover that right up. None of this is live right now, right? You gotta click this little save button to make it live. We don't want to do that. We don't want this to be live. Now you might have noticed that these other things, they all animate, right? They all do special things. And so if you click up here on animation while you have one of these selected, you can see what it's doing. Short from left, and it's going to leave short to right. You can change the speed. Down here you can change the order when things come onto the page. And you can keep experimenting with that until it looks just the way you want it to be. Now what about this main background though? Then all it is an image here. And so we click change image. You can make it into whatever you want. Remember, we're not saving any of this right now, so we can change it out as we please. Now we have that new image in there. Now you also might notice that things move in the background, right? So that is under Ken Burns over here. And you say it's scaling in from 100% to 106%. And then horizontal offsets, they're going from 0 to -8 and from 5 to 0 on the vertical. And you can really just experiment with that and make it look however you want it to look. But with all this, oh, one more thing on here real quick. We want to say, how do we link to something else? That's through actions up here. And so right now we want this to link to /about-us, but we can make it link to whatever other thing we want it to be, and we just paste in or type in whatever that is going to be right there. Now, we're not going to keep this, so let's leave. And everything goes back to how it was. I think your best bet most of the time is going to be to incorporate things that we have already used on these slides that we've made for you. And you can make your own from scratch and not worry about this at all, and that's fine. But a better option much of the time is going to be to copy them. So what you can do is you can click duplicate, and now we've got 2 of these, right? If you don't want one of these to be live, the one that you're working on, say right now, then you click that little red thing and it makes it so that it's not live anymore. So we're going to click over here on this one though, so we can take a look at it. And we say, alright, so we don't want these same words, but we want to have the same style. So now we can just change out the image. And we can make this be some sort of worshipy thing. We got this here. And then we can say, so you double click to be able to edit these. Or you can also click this little pencil. There's another way to do it too. So worship and such. Right? And then you change out the wording here. And you say some wonderful words. Oh yeah. Good, good, good. Okay? And then we got all those on there. And then we say, well, we don't want that to say learn more. I want to say celebrate. Makes sense? Now, you still want to go through and check and make sure that everything lines up right at these different points. Because like right now, you can already see, oh, actually that probably doesn't line up quite right anymore, does it? Because there's not as many words there. And so now we're going to say, how about more like right there? Okay? And then we go in here and we say, does it look right now? Yeah, that still looks good. Does it look right here? Yep, that works. Does it work there? Probably a little funny. Maybe we want to center these things instead, right? And so then we center them. And we center them. And if you want to make the text itself center aligned, you can do that as well. I think that one is actually an exception though, and it applies all the way through. So it's all or nothing. That's what you got to deal with on that particular part. Experiment with all these things. Once you think you got them just right, click Save. And we don't even want this slide at all, so we're just going to delete it. But once you have everything just right, then you click Save, and then it becomes live on the website. Now, under slider settings, you can make some additional changes to how it shows up. These are general things, not for specific slides, but more general function. And you can go through here and experiment with those. Most of those things are set up right already, though, so you don't need to worry about them too much. We'll take a quick look at the sermon slideshow as well. This says that it's the real one, but it's not. And so that's going to be confusing, so we're going to delete that. Now, this is the sermons slideshow, and you should almost never have to do anything with this because it just loads automatically. So these things are already all set up. You don't really ever need to change it. If you want to do something though, like besides click to listen, you could say, let's rock it, and then you'd have it on there, right? Click check, click save, it becomes live. Mostly you don't really need to change anything on there though. That's working as it should right now. If it's not working right for some reason, that means something is wrong either that we have done, you have done, or a way in which the plugin has changed. That's beyond either of our control. So let us know if there's a problem and we'll help you fix it up. All right? Now, take a look at Google Map. Google Map makes it so that then on, let's see, on the home page, we have this little map here, and on the contact page, we've got a map up here. The first thing you do with Google Map is you add a location. And so right now we already have a location, and that is your church. If you want to add more locations, though, then you can click Add Location. And you type in the name of the place, and you say where it is, and you click on it here. It loads up all that relevant information. You can make it so that there's an info window that has some content about your location, or you can make it redirect to an outside website, like this. You can choose how it comes in, bounce or drop. I don't think it gives you a preview right here. So you have to just try it out and see which one is which. We've already got this marker category here for church if we want this to be a church up here. But if we say it's not a church, we can just leave it as nothing. Click Save Location, and then it will be an available location. Now, you notice that categories part there? Well, let's go take a look here real quick. We got this church one, but we can make more. So we can add a marker category, and we can have something else instead. Choose a new marker image, and then we choose whichever one of these things here that we want to use, and it can be our image as well, or instead, or whatever. So we have 2 maps set up right now, though. Those other things were locations, and now we're having maps. They are the specific instances that include these locations. So we have the homepage map, and we have a contact map. The homepage map is 285 pixels high. Its width is left blank so that it will always fill up the entire width of the section that it's in. So it doesn't fill up the entire width of the page. I think that might be what it even says on this, but it doesn't fill up the entire width of the page. It fills up the entire width of this little section that it's allowed to be in right here. But whatever we do, then it keeps on staying looking right because of that. And it always stays the same height, okay? But it changes how wide it is depending on the screen size. It's set to being a roadmap. A lot of other things are checked. You can just experiment with those and make those as you want them to be. We've chosen this location to be on there, but if there are multiple locations available to choose, then you can make multiple locations be on that map. Again, more options you can adjust. You click Save Map, and then if you want to make it actually be on the website, Then for each one of these maps, I clicked on the wrong button. Here we go. Then we have a shortcode. Remember these shortcodes? You just copy them, and then you can paste them within a page. So let's say we wanted to add a map to the Worldview Conference to show where this is going to be, rather than just... Oh, we ended up calling it something else. Never mind. We can add this map in there like that. Just paste that in. And now we've got that map there on the page, right? Simple enough, very easy to do. If you go to the widgets section, then you can do it one of two ways. If you want to add it into a sidebar, say, or something like that, then you can make it so that you do it with text. And so you can either use text or visual editor. We'll use visual editor because that's better. And then you can paste it in and click save, and it will become a little map in your sidebar. Or you can do the plugin itself, and you can choose which map you want to be in that spot. But we don't want that either, so we will also delete that. And that covers how to use Google Map. And not only does it cover how to use Google Map, that concludes our training for this website. So, there's a lot of information here, and it will take you a little while to get comfortable with everything, and that's understandable. But we are happy to help out in whatever way is needed. We want to be able to be sure that you know how to use this website in a very fluid, natural way. Let us know if you have trouble. There will probably be things you have questions about, and we want to help. Don't view this as something where we're done and out of your lives. We want to keep being able to help you and pushing you in a good direction so that you are able to take full advantage of this site, and you can take complete ownership over this site through the assistance that we give you. Call us, text us, email us, and we'll get back to you quickly.